The world wakes up to LA on fire from riots, from dangerous insurrectionists. I'm going to give you the lowdown of where we're at today after this weekend. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are. We remain happy in spite of the Democrats being so unhappy that they're burning a city down. This is all about brainwashing. This is all about media constructing narratives, and we're going to pierce right through it all and show you what all this means. Here is my first post, which was from today on my comment is, this is what the Democrats mean by unlike you, we accept the peaceful transition of power. So what are we looking at here? These are some of the rioters that are we're going to go into the flags that they're holding up too. That American flag is deliberate for messaging. They're taking public furniture, park benches, and putting them up as a barricade against LAPD. That's them on the horses in the background. Overnight, the rioters were shooting fireworks to spook the horses straight into the horses. Those are non-lethal firearms. So they shoot tear gas and then they have plastic bullets. It's almost like a paintball gun, air-powered. They have a little hopper on top full of plastic bullets or sandbag bullets too. They feed down in the chamber and they can fire them into the crowd for control, but they really aren't using them that much. You can see these are all masked. These are the typical Antifa. I'm going to go into the funding of this whole thing later today because it's all being funded by the left. This is George Soros type places. I do have a clip from Margie Taylor Greene to show you how this is the people that were saying they're called NGOs, non-government organizations. A lot of that was rooted out through our shutdown of USAID. Trump did. But this is a Democrat war. It's largely against Trump. It was started as a reaction to Trump's ICE deportations on Friday. So today is when I really want to see, because people have to go back to work on a Monday. Today I want to see where all of this goes. If it dies down, if this is a weekend thing, or is this going to be another summer of love?
I mean, my first message is to keep it peaceful. I mean, obviously, this is a moment where we have to be on the streets all over the country to protest what's happening to our immigrant community, but more broadly to protest what's happening to our democracy. This is the most corrupt administration in the history of the country, and we are going to rise to this moment by being out there on the streets.
Let's go to this one. Here's some factoids, some backstory on this is Charlie Kirk. He says on Wednesday last week, ICE broke its national arrest record. Tuesday, June 3rd, it was 2,200 arrests. Wednesday, June 3rd, it was 2,300 arrests. This is what we voted for in November, and we want our country back. So this is in one day, they were able to arrest 2,368 undocumented migrants. And then they go through the process of us trying to deport them. Then we have a judge block all that, a Democrat appointed judge block that. But it shows progress. We have to get up to about 8,000 migrants a day to reverse what Joe Biden did in his 4 years with Trump's 4 years.
We could see the president potentially, again, pull the cord and say, I need to invoke the Insurrection Act. As I'm sure you've been talking about, the Insurrection Act would give the president more authority to not just federalize the National Guard, but to say that the National Guard can actually act as domestic law enforcement, that the military on U.S. soil can search, can seize, can arrest.
Yeah. Here's another show on why this whole video is under the theme of never put an X next to a Democrat. They will destroy your society. This is the Democrat-controlled state of Maine House just voted to kill a bill requiring a photo ID to vote. The only reason someone would ignore this voter ID is if they wanted to cheat. So why do they want to protect the illegals' ability to vote? They're going to try. I predict that all of these illegals in all of these sanctuary cities like LA, they're going to try and get them emergency citizenship right away. Now, this also all ties into Gavin Newsom. This is an Elon Musk tweet just from this morning. This is the Gavin Newsom president. We're going to run this through his presidential run in 2028. Wow. And the Democrats are just awful in all of their responses to this. They're totally covering up for this riot behind them.
There's the American dream and the California dream. There's no Alabama dream. Eat your heart out, Texas, Tennessee, and Florida.
Hey, he mentioned my state. This, by the way, this is a parody. They projected him in front of this stuff. This is heavily edited. This is a joke meme, but it makes a very serious point of him saying, eat your heart out, Tennessee. I'm from LA and I'm in Tennessee and I love LA. I love California, but watching it on fire here shows a weakness of governance. We're going to expose that whole thing in this video.
This is California. The world looks to us to see that it's possible to live, advance, and prosper together across every conceivable difference. It's what makes this state great, that we don't tolerate that diversity as we once had, but we truly can look today and talk in terms of how we celebrate that diversity.
Diversity is not what makes California great. What makes California great is purely just the most beautiful physical place in the world. California is one of the most fortunate, valuable pieces of land. That's what attracted everyone out there, starting with the gold in 1850. And now the weather, beautiful climate, everyone knows. Beach boys, everyone knows. If you have money, you go to California. So he's trying to pretend like it's his governance that made it great. No, that's not what made California great, nor was its diversity of people what made it great. So I'm only pushing back on that. But this is going to play into Gavin Newsom's future, how he handles this thing. Let's go here to Chief Nerd. This says, CNN immediately cuts off a panelist who tells the truth about the LA riot.
Brad, what are you thinking?
Well, we got to this moment because California has a sanctuary policy. The state law forbids local law enforcement from cooperating with, or local government from cooperating with immigration enforcement. We have immigration laws that govern the entire land, and California is willfully ignoring them. California's left-wing politicians set this up. If California had long been cooperating and helping enforce immigration laws all along the way, this would not be.
It's not the whole state. You do know that some of this is jurisdictions. There are certain towns that do. Yeah, but there.
That lady, the Pepto-Bismol Democrat there to his left and to our right, she ignored his point that said if these communities had followed our immigration law, this wouldn't have happened. She doesn't address that. She goes, no, it's not every city. It's only certain cities that are sanctuary cities and other ones are more compliant. If you're an illegal and you find out that this city is compliant to immigration law and another city over here is a sanctuary city, which one do you move to? So they all go to the one where they get the preferential treatment. CNN quickly moved on to another video because this is really all about narrative control, brainwashing, messaging, call it marketing of the two parties. And the Democrat parties have another heavy lift to do, which is to convince you, the American, that Trump is the bad guy and these poor illegals are just victims of chance.
Now the Los Angeles Mayor, Karen Bass. Hi, Mayor. Thank you so much. Hi. So what are you and your police force? I know how busy you are preparing for the hours ahead. What are you expecting on that front?
Well, I just have to say that if you dial back time and go to Friday, if immigration raids had not happened here, we would not have the disorder that went on last night. I will tell you that it is peaceful now.
Now, here's what I mean by the two narratives. So if you look at the video on the upper one is what the Democrats call an insurrection. The video on the bottom is what the Democrats call a peaceful protest. There's the police cars being on fire. There's a guy standing on top of it with his flag. You're going to see this flag a lot. Mexican flags and Palestinian flags are being waved all over the place. So this is on the messaging. Now remember, our first one on messaging is this one, which the Democrats call the one on the left is a sign of love and peace. And the one on the right, the sign on the right, is a Hitler, white supremacist, Nazi salute. Same thing happens, but different brainwashing. So they're going to try to do, the media is trying to control how you'll think of this LA riot. And so I'm going to go into all the messaging. Here's from Mike Benz on Twitter. He says, here are the rioters smashing the windows of LAPD headquarters one day after LAPD called them peaceful protesters. We're going to talk about LAPD's compliance in a minute. I don't even want to get into I don't want to show too much of this, but they're shoving bricks, and that guy's using a skateboard. Dude, there's better things to break a window with than a skateboard. This is a LA agency that they're showing violence on. Use your skateboard. So LAPD at first tried to get on the Democrat messaging of peaceful. This is a peaceful protest, they said. Well, now they've changed their opinion. They're okay with working with Trump's National Guard if they have to. So that was a thing that changed overnight when they realized they were completely out of control of this insurrection.
Happened, and then the National Guard was federalized. So they're working for the U.S. Army, not for the California State National Guard.
Do we need them?
Do we need them? Well, looking at it tonight, this thing has gotten out of control. Before I could answer that, I'd have to know more about what their capabilities are, what their role is intended to be able to make that determination. But we have great cops in Southern California here that work together all the time. So we have tremendous capability here. To say that we would go to that right away, I'd say we wouldn't have been there yet. Looking at the violence tonight, I think we got to make a reassessment.
So it's after last night, he makes an assessment. A little too late, Jim McDonnell of LAPD, he's a woke chief, but you can see it now. That narrative, that story is turning. He went from yesterday being, we've got this under control. We do not need to nationalize the National Guard, and bring in that kind of army work here. Now he's going after last night. That is after LAPD itself got broken into and vandalized. He's like, I'm ready to talk.
Laurel, how has your department interacted with the National Guard, if at all, since they've been here?
I'd say very little, other than we had a conference call this afternoon. There aren't a whole lot of soldiers in place at this time. They're still incoming.
They're still incoming. Now, no one had a problem with bringing in, none of the left did, with bringing in the National Guard when it came to protecting Martin Luther King Jr. during those riots. So the idea that the press now is fascinated with who's talking to the National Guard, it's purely because it's Trump. Purely because Trump's in office. That's the political message of all this. This is still about the left versus America versus the happy patriots. Here's another video. I'm told people are protesting due to Donald Trump's immigration policy. What does stealing sneakers have to do with that? So as usual, the riots are showing their support of Palestine and leaving Mexican illegals here and being funded by Soros by raiding LA stores and stealing tennis shoes.
You guys, they're looting. Can I get a new pair of shoes too?
Okay, enough of that. Free shoes for everybody. We're going to go into the funding of this also, but first I'm going to show you this piece of, these are the rioters. They're tearing up sidewalks and collecting rocks to throw at law enforcement. LAPD continues to show incredible restraint despite multiple threats, their vehicles being destroyed. Graffiti and destruction is widespread with no sign of stopping. Now, listen, if I throw a rock at you, that's attempted murder. That's my opinion on it. Because you could kill someone. You're intending to do great harm on them. If you throw a rock at someone's head, and these guys are all getting away with it. So we have, again, the two standards of justice. Just keep thinking of the January 6th, what the Democrats called the terrible insurrection. Remember, no one threw a rock. Okay, here we go. This is them collecting rocks on the streets. I believe this was on Paramount Boulevard in LA, one of the most expensive neighborhoods. Breaking up this decorative rock here. And then they're walking off with their stones to throw off an overpass. California has so many laws. This is that overpass I was telling you about. This is attempted murder to police officers. Gavin Newsom should be in jail, arrest, and/or deport all those involved. They're throwing rocks down on police windows right there. That's just a barreling right in the window. So the officers were huddled under that overpass, and that's proof that they are overwhelmed, okay? These images, some of them I don't even want to show you because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. And again, will they allow us to share the narrative, or are they going to start demonetizing all reporting of the riots, even if they go on all through the summer? That's something why this video is actually a test. This says, and all of a sudden, California doesn't care about pollution anymore. So remember how California is against pollution? All the greenies, all the environmentalists. How's this? You know, car batteries on fire. I don't see any environmentalists coming out in protest of this, putting fluorocarbons, plastics, burning metal in the air. That's because, as I've said before, you guys have heard me say it a million times, they're liars. They don't believe it at all. They only used environmentalism to help shut down and control business with their movement. This is Scott Dissent, because Gavin Newsom threatens to block California tax payments to federal government. That's because Trump has said he has to be compliant, and Gavin Newsom goes, oh, you're not going to give us funding over, say, the fires or these riots? How about California doesn't pay its taxes to the government? So here's Scott Dissent. He says Governor Gavin Newsom is threatening to commit criminal tax evasion. That's Secretary of Treasury Scott Dissent, who I have a lot of respect for. Gavin Newsom's plan: defraud the American taxpayer and leave California residents on the hook for unpaid federal taxes. This is significant, guys. We can't do it without California. California is a huge money state. Did you know 1 in 8 Americans are Californians? 1 in 8 Americans are Californians. They're like if you just take California, they would be the 4th largest country in the world, not in population, but in income, because so much commerce goes through California. So we're not going to get out of this without our beloved state of California, guys, but we have to see if it's fixable. Here's Kaizen Asidju. I'm going to leave a link to his YouTube channel down in the description below because I really like him a lot. He gets a lot of heat on Twitter and he doesn't get enough views here on YouTube. And I want to try and get him some views, get his channel monetized, help him out with some subscribers. He's an incredible thinker. He actually went to the LA riots just to do a direct report and to remove all the politics and frabba-jabba from it. Watch this.
I'm here in downtown LA in front of Los Angeles City Hall, because there's a protest going on against the ICE raids that happened here on Friday. And I came to just check it out because sometimes it's so hard to know what's true when you're in the echo chambers in social media, the mainstream media. It's getting all these narratives, and I just wanted to come down here and see for myself what was going on, what people are saying, what they're feeling. While I was here, someone handed me this literal communist newspaper. And it was interesting to note that the most common flag was a Mexican flag, as one would expect. Second most common flag, and it was actually pretty close, was the Palestinian flag. And then there were a few American flags in there as well. And when I asked some of the people with the American flags, why did they have American flags? They said it was because they wanted to make sure that the bad guys don't get to hold the American flag as their symbol. So just a little bit.
By the bad guys, they mean you and me. Did you hear that? Catch that? This is a deliberate Antifa, communist, George Soros move that they're marching with our American flags so that we, the bad guys, aren't the only one to be able to carry it. This is marketing, guys. This is brainwashing. This is trying to control narrative, control opinion. And they're brilliant at scrambling our message by they themselves going, look, we're going to carry the American flag. So when you carry it, they won't be able to tell you from us.
A bit of insight into the mind of these people who are protesting, and it was largely peaceful. Now there are sirens going off, so I'm not really sure what's happening right now, but
I want to show this clip because this is the peaceful part of the protest. I don't want to, as a news channel, if I'm giving you the news, I do want to give you the side that shows that, yes, no one would have a problem with this protest, by the way, if it was peaceful like this. If it was all just people like this going to City Hall with their flags, it wouldn't make news. So this is not the controversy at all, but I have to show you it's going to be mostly people that are peaceful and then whole hordes that are also violent. And so this is going to be the peaceful side that the news only wants you to think about. But it is there. That's not peaceful. He's got a mask on. Now this is shutting down streets. That also is not peaceful. Okay, if they're shutting down streets, most of the signs they're holding are anti-Jew, anti-Trump. So you'll start to see where the lines are setting up: anti-Jew, anti-Trump. This is also just Democrats. So they know what side to go on. They have to make Trump look bad. So there are mainstream Democrats in this footage. Look, there's an Uncle Sam on stilts. Okay, I guess he's pro-communist. There's a lot of F-ICE stuff here, a lot of Mexican flags, Palestinian flags. Okay, and there he is holding up that red flag communist newspaper. Again, what does communism have to do with riots? Communism always has to do with riots. They don't believe in the peaceful transfer of power. They believe in complete manipulation. So watch this video. Look at the guy on the right. So those are the police cars down below here with all the officers under the bridge trying to get protection from the people up top throwing rocks down at them. And this is a communist flag draped on a kid. This thing is a political, violent movement. Remember when the Democrats say, unlike Republicans, we're for the peaceful transfer of power. This is what they mean by a peaceful transfer of power. Riots, vandalism, and I hope this doesn't spread to other cities, but I'm skeptical. This movement, I'm watching to see where the narrative goes. That is, it's either going to grow and spread to other cities, or it's going to be locked under control by Trump. Here's more on the news describing controlling narrative, and it's changing on the spot as they observe the cops do their job.
Protest, but not a right for people in the middle of the streets doing some of what you're looking at right now.
Alex, as we keep you here for a moment, we're going to refer down to the live shot we're seeing here. An LAPD skirmish line is moving in here and moving that crowd off the top of the freeway where they've been raining those and throwing those rocks down onto the police vehicle, setting it on fire as well. So now you are seeing a show of force here as police now are on this level here, moving this crowd away. Maybe they can get them away enough that those vehicles can be cleared and the freeway can be reopened at some point to motorists in both directions. It's going to take some time, but you got to get those people out of there because they're going to continue to.
So those are the cop cars down below on the right that we saw them throwing rocks down on. You can see here to the left of the police, that was where the people were standing throwing rocks down on them. So the police showed up and they all scattered. And I just want to end on a really neat footage here at the very end. This is by George, by Behizzy Tweets. This is the good people of California have taken matters into their own hands. Workers at local restaurants helped cops who were injured by the anti-ICE rioters. These cops have been abandoned by Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, and other Democrat officials. Remember that. Look at this.
This is new video showing restaurant workers helping sheriff's deputies in Compton. You can see some of the deputies sitting in the booths as well.
Look at that lady on the right. She's a minority. She's helping us out.
Help to flush their eyes.
Helping the cops flush their eyes.
Hit with tear gas.
They were hit with tear gas.
The deputies put their gas masks back on and headed back out to help contain the protests.
And then this one's a shout out to those guys. They get, after they had tear gas in their eyes, they get it washed off by this. This is a Mexican restaurant. Look at the flags behind there. Mexican restaurant. And then after they're cleaned up, they put the gas mask back on and they go to work to help try to secure Los Angeles. So a lot of messaging, a lot of movement, guys. I'm going to keep you guys posted on this, but this is the big news. I'm going to try and do some other normal videos today. I don't want it all to be this kind of stuff, but you have to know LA is in play right now. I'm Doug in Exile. Subscribe.